life. I'm not just dreaming this in my head. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what we want to do first. Um, First thing that we want to talk about is not rushing into your job search. When you start hunting for a normal 9 to 5 job, you typically just jump on and pull up Indeed or Career Builder, or back in the day, it used to be Monster, and you start applying for jobs. But when you're working from home, especially as a mom, it requires a little more forethought. And there are some serious considerations you should make before just throwing your resume around. The goal here is to make sure that you don't end up overwhelmed, frustrated, and burned out. Because if you don't take the time to really think about what it is you need from your work at home job and not just what they need from you, you're going to end up burned out and throwing in the towel. So, one of the first things that you really want to think about is going to be how much time you really have to work. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you here that your first instinct is going to be wrong. The first thing that you're going to think when it comes to how often you can work is that you can work whenever you have kid free time. You're talking early mornings, nap times, part times preschool hours, any day that your partner's off, you can work all day. All of those things are going to be when you think you can work. And that is not a realistic answer. It's not maintainable. The reality is, even though you're going to start working from home, there's still a house to be cleaned. There's still groceries that have to be shopped for. There's still laundry to be done. As a matter of fact, I just put in a little laundry before I started this live video. So all of those things still have to be done while you're working from home. And on top of those things, you're going to have a day that you don't want to have to juggle working and taking care of the house. You're going to want to spend some time with your family. You might even want to take a shower or sleep from time to time. So when you're thinking about how much time you really have to work, take all of those things into consideration and really be realistic about how much time you can commit to working. Otherwise, you're going to take on more than you can chew, and it's just not going to work out for you or whoever you wind up working for. And it's perfectly fine that you're not going to have the 40 to 45 hours a week that you initially think you can. There's tons of part-time opportunities out there. There's tons of flexible things that you can do. So definitely, don't overcommit because you think that you have to have all this availability. You don't. The second thing that you're going to want to consider is what type of work environment you have and what kind of equipment that you have. This is a pretty straightforward question. It doesn't require quite as much thought as, how much time you have to work. It's things like, do you have a quiet office that you can work in? Do you have high-speed internet? Are you going to be working in your bedroom or posting up in the living room so you're not going to be, quiet? Do you have a computer? Do you have a printer? High-speed internet? What about a noise-canceling headset? All of those things are things that come into play. And when you start looking for your work at home jobs, you're going to see where they require all of these different things. So if you have them, great. When you see those requirements come up, it's not going to be a big deal. If you don't have those things, you need to kind of know if you're willing to purchase them or not. Noise canceling headset, not a big deal to pick up. Some jobs are going to want to have dual monitors. That's a little bigger commitment. Are you willing to make that commitment, or would you rather just move on to something that utilizes the equipment you already have? Excuse me. You can also find companies that are willing to provide equipment for you. I've seen, depending on the position, I think I've seen American Express offer to send equipment. A couple of different companies that of course don't come to mind right now because that would be too convenient. So there are some that will send you equipment, but you need to know, what do I have? What am I willing to buy? What am I not willing to buy? And your last question is going to require probably some homework on your part and some thought. And that's going to be how much you need to earn. And this one gets really tricky. When we start looking for a typical 9 to 5 job, we look at salary in the regards of, this is what I want to be making, this is what I can get by on, this is what my last job paid me, and so I'm going to ask for this. And that's, a kind of a mix of what we want to get paid, what we have been paid, and what we need to get paid. But when you start working at home, especially with all of the different commitments that you have as a mom, you're often going to have to trade pay rate for convenience in a lot of circumstances. Um, if you're a mom with small kids at home, a flexible schedule is often going to be worth a lot more than a higher pay rate. It absolutely sounds amazing to work from home and make $25 an hour. But if they're going to tell you that to make that $25 an hour, you have to work from, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday, that's just not realistically something that you're going to be able to do. And so a $14 an hour job that lets you work from, say 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then again from, 1 to 3 p.m. is going to be a much more realistic concept for you. You're going to trade that convenience for that pay rate. And that's just kind of how it is. But that does not mean that you should settle for just any pay rate. You're going to still have an amount of money that you need to make. And if you're not making that, you're going to get frustrated. It's not going to be worth it. So you really want to take a good hard look at your household budget, and you want to figure out how much income you need to bring in from your work from home job. That's going to be your bottom line. Now notice that I said how much you need to bring in, not how much you want to bring in. We all want to bring in all the dollars and we want to work 10 hours a week to do it, and it just doesn't work that way. But you're going to need to know what your bottom line is, because if you take anything less than that, you're just going to burn out. At the end of the day, if you're spending all of your free time working and then still come up short at the end of the month, you're just going to wind up frustrated and resenting the work that you're going to do. You're going to throw in the towel. You're going to say, forget it. The kid's going to daycare. I'm done. Move on. So make sure that you are being realistic about what that number is. Now, for some moms, you may find that you don't actually need to earn anything. You may be in a situation where, you can do a little bit of belt tightening and survive on just your partner's income. And if that's the case, then that's going to be fantastic, because you can do a lot of different things. It's going to open up a lot of variety. You can do gigs, you can do paid surveys. You can only take the most flexible of positions, no matter what the pay rate is, because all you're trying to do is earn extra spending money or set aside for Christmas or things like that. And I am in no way, shape, or form belittling the need to do that. Having a cushion or knowing how you're going to pay for Christmas is a super huge weight lifted off of your shoulders. So I do caution you, though, if you've decided, once you've looked at your household budget and you've decided that you don't need to earn anything, you're just wanting some extra income, to make sure you're being real about that assessment. It's super easy to overestimate the amount of belt tightening you can do. It's easy on paper to say, oh, well, I can cut out the Starbucks, and we can cut out, the weekend trips to the zoo or whatever, and then we can make it on this one budget. But that's not maintainable. And you're not going to keep doing it. You're going to end up splurging. You're going to end up, making that trip to McDonald's. You're going to wind up ordering out pizza. And then you're going to come out short at the end of the month, and nothing creates more strain. Well, I say nothing. A newborn might. But other than a newborn, nothing creates more strain on a family than when finances come up short. It is not a fun boat to be in. So if you've looked at your budget and said, we can make it on one income, fantastic, but make sure you're being real with what you trimmed out in order to make that happen. I'm also going to, along the way, here now Moms Making Ends Meet group, I'll give you lots of ways to trim out some of the fat and to stretch that budget. But if you're going from 2 incomes to 1, it's not often that there's really no need for at least a little bit of income there. So just kind of a caveat there. Now, one of the things you'll notice that I did not mention that you should consider when trying to find a work from home job is what you want to do. And I know that sounds really crazy. When you're looking for a 9 to 5, one of the first things you think about is, what do I want to do? Do I want to go into food and beverage? Do I want to work retail? Do I want to work in an office as an admin assistant? I don't really find it necessary to think about those things when you're looking for a work at home job as a mom. And the reason being is that your answers to the 3 questions we just went through are going to determine how your work at home job is structured. And you'll find that how a job is structured is going to be much more important to you than what that actual job is. You're going to have so much going on in your world between trying to keep up with your family and your home and your work at home job that exactly what you're doing for those 4 hours a day is irrelevant as long as you can do it during the time that you have available and that it pays you what you need it to make your finances meet at the end of the month. So, um, be reasonable in that though. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you absolutely despise sales, you've had 5 sales jobs and never once closed a sale or earned a commission, then by all means, don't go apply for a work at home sales job. But you kind of get the idea as to what I'm getting at there. So now that we have talked about what your parameters are and